feel like I would hear more better and probably just hearing you say, daughter, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I left you.
Yeah. No, you fine. You know I got tissue. You gonna make me cry. You gonna make me cry.
Sorry I wasn't there for y'all.
Yeah.
It caused me and my siblings, to be split.
Mm-hmm. I gotta make sure I'm saying your name right though, Lawana.
Lawana, yes.
Yeah, I am. Okay, so I got my girlfriend Lawana here, and I'm so thankful. But we reconnected back in church, ran into her. She shared her testimony with me, and so a couple weeks ago she reached out. And mind you, I had been praying. I was just telling her I had been praying and asking the Lord to send me women to sit down and have intimate conversations with. Like I was telling her, a lot of these conversations I've been having with my mom, I've been getting healed and delivered from a lot of things, especially childhood trauma. That's been my biggest thing. And I knew that the Lord wanted me to sit down with women, have intimate conversations, and there's so many people around the world that can learn from each of us. Mm-hmm. And then she ended up texting me, reaching out, and said she wanted to do something like this without even knowing that I was doing a podcast and all of this. And so I'm here having a conversation with my sister in Christ, my love. We done reconnected. We done had a bond. And I know that the Lord do all things and work all things together for his good. And so us coming together, I think it's been about 2 months ago, was for a reason.
For a reason.
And so one of my favorite sayings is, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. Because, in our community, in the black community, if it happened in the house or
they wanted to stay in the house.
Exactly. Don't tell nobody. And so I learned that the Spirit of the Lord brings truth and light, especially the darkness. And one question I do have, though, to start the conversation off, was, how did your walk with the Lord start?
My walk started, I would say, back in 2016.
Okay, so that's new.
That's when I was on my journey. It got deeper and deeper as I started fasting and meditating and, going to church more.
Right.
But so much was happening to me in 2016. I was going through it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I want to get closer to God. Like, I don't know where to begin. Like, what's happening? It was just like a shift. And I just thought that, I don't know if was God angry with me. Like, was he angry with me? Because so much stuff just started happening. But a lady at church told me, that God was trying to use me. And that he's going to take me through some stuff. And he was going to transition me. And the more I surrendered to him and, do his will, the easier it was going to get. So I first started in 2016. But see, I had backslid.
What happened? What happened? Because we all had that season now.
I'm not going to say I kind of gave up a little bit. I was going through a divorce had happened.
And so how long you was married?
I was married for 2 years.
Okay.
So it only lasted for 2 years. And I left because, the lack of attention, the lack of intimacy and, things like that. And in the beginning, everything was good. And I'm not going to just put everything, on him. Yeah. It was both of us because I messed up and did some things too after, he started, mistreating me and things like that. And I know I had to ask God, to forgive me or whatever like that. But I was dealing with pain from my mom that I never, ever healed from. The things that she allowed to happen to us and put us through.
Because I had read on your form, you had went through foster care. And so do you think that played a lot in your how you deal with relationships and contributing to your divorce?
Okay. The foster care thing, yes, because I'm still healing. I love my mom, but she's still, doing things that she used to do when we were kids. So I pray and ask God to, forgive her and heal her and help her get on her journey, because I don't know if maybe she lacking the love or need healing herself inside from things that she experienced as a child. But I was told, my grandma made sure they was good. Like, she went to school, she had meals, she had a roof over her head. But my mom, her not being there, that hurts. And it still hurts to this day because she's still not here. Yeah. And a lot of things that I did go through, like my rape, my divorce, being homeless, a lot of stuff I went through. She was not there, and I remember, when I moved back with her when I got out the system, we was homeless. I stayed at a shelter and everything, and then she was taking care of my grandma. I dropped out of school to take care of my grandma because she was not taking care of my grandma properly. So I could say she never apologized. So I don't know if that's a thing that bothers me, because I feel like we all need closure, and I don't try to talk to her, sit down and talk to her, but it don't get through to her. So going through that foster care, it brings a lot of emotions because I seen a lot of stuff, I witnessed a lot of stuff. Some people treated me good, some people didn't. So that's still a hole that's in my heart that I'm still healing from.
And now, during the whole your foster care and all of that, was you introduced to God? Because for me, I started as a child. Going to church, I say probably about 5th grade. I just shared that testimony. And so even during this time, was you kept in church? Did you know about God?
Then I got introduced to God when we was young. My Uncle James, he passed away. I don't know if you remember James Wilcox. My Uncle James.
I do, yeah.
Yes, he introduced us to church. We was always in church because, I'm from Miami, but I moved here when I was like 4 years old. Okay. So we always would go to church, Shiloh Baptist Church. I remember. Okay. We was always in church.
My stepdaddy, that's the church he grew up in.
Yeah. So even in the foster systems, we went to church. And it's like I didn't actually know God like that, but I just knew it was something. I just knew something was just covering me. Like, so I guess God already had me chosen since birth. I can say that because it's like I just knew. I liked the church. I wanted to go to church. I used to write notes. I'm talking about I'm a little girl, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Growing up, and I'm just like, it's something.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but it's something. Yeah. So as I got older, I went on my journey, finding out who God is, reading more about Jesus, the people in the Bible, who they were, their testimonies, what they went through. So that's when I got on my healing journey. After my divorce, that's what really sent me on my healing journey.
What year that was? That was 2016?
2020.
Oh, okay. And that was the year. Let me tell you. 2020 was that year.
It was
because 2019 I had a mind, and then that's when I started kind of crying out to God, and then because I was similar to you, grew up in the church, familiar with the Lord, but I didn't have my own personal relationship. And then COVID kind of shifted for a lot of people, even that burn culture.
I called it.
Yeah, the church that I'm a part of now. And I told Saber, like, we at the 3-year mark. Because the Lord, the ones that woke up and heard his voice, so he raising up new prophets like Moses, Joshua.
Yep.
And but 2020 was definitely a year, because that's when I cried out and I said, I gotta turn. And it's always, like you said, always been something.
It was something.
Yeah, and I know you just mentioned also, I'm a little all over the place.
It's okay.
But you had mentioned about unforgiveness because of lacking of an apology. And so, why would you say an apology is so important? Because I can relate. My biological dad, he wasn't there for me. And unfortunately, I never had that conversation. And that's why I wrote the devotion, Father Issues. And that's something that I was struggling with. Like, you will never be able to say sorry. And that's what I want. I'm a very forgiving person. But I want people to take accountability and know how you make me feel.
Right.
And so, why do you feel like a conversation and apology is so important in order to forgive and heal?
I feel like, for one, take accountability for what you did, because had not you were the mother that you were to us, a lot of these things that happened to us wouldn't have happened. Yeah. I wouldn't have got molested as a child. I wouldn't have had to go through all these emotions. I wouldn't have had to go to, counseling and therapy. Yeah. I'm going through that stuff, as a kid, and it's just like, I don't know, I just felt so empty inside. Like, you supposed to be my mother. You supposed to be my protector. You supposed to be the one that's teaching me about relationships, about marriage, about, personal hygiene, and just things, being a woman, period. And I never got that. Everything that I really learned, I kind of taught myself. Yeah. I taught myself. I thank God for my auntie Hazel. She is like a mother to me. My grandma Cheryl, that's in the nursing home, she was like a mother to me. That's who raised us and that's who had us. But for my mom, I feel like I would hear more better and probably just hearing you say, daughter, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I left you.
Yeah. No, you fine. I got tissue. You're going to make me cry. You can make me cry.
Sorry I wasn't there for y'all,
Yeah.
it caused me and my siblings, to be split.
Mm-hmm.
We split up. A lot of our relationships, we're not close. I want us to be close, but you know why we're not close? Because we was all scattered into different homes.
Yeah.
So when it happens like that and you in different homes, you done got adapt to not talking to your siblings on the regular and not, wondering about them and stuff like that. So by her, being the mother she was, it caused us to go our separate ways, and some of us aren't as close. And I just, it's like I'm okay, but something is missing. Like, I believe in God. I'm on my journey. I'm happy with myself. I'm happy with my life. I'm happy. But it's like, when people just constantly hurt you, and then she constantly hurt me because I don't get that support from her. Sometimes I just want you to call and say, daughter, look, I'm proud of you. Daughter, I love you. Daughter, I care. Daughter, can I pray with you today? I don't get it. I never got that. So it's like I'm trying to find myself in this world where I have to defend myself. And I don't have that mother figure from you that I want. So I feel like the least to start off is saying, you know what, I apologize. That'll help me heal. And it'll bring our relationship and our, mother and daughter heal, motherhood, bond closer.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why an apology is important. You take accountability for it, and then for y'all can grow.
Yeah.
And then after that, now, okay, we're going somewhere. Now we can grow.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm just left to pick up the pieces that,
you helped.
that you did,
Yeah.
It's not fair. You never apologize for nothing that you did.
Yeah, and the reason why girl, I was not expecting you to cry. I'm sorry, I was finna it. I know I'm finna cry, but the reason why I asked that is because my mom, she lost her mama when she was like in her, I think, late 30s. And I watched my mom like deal with depression, trying to kill herself, being so angry, being addicted to alcohol, dealing with that. And now that I'm older, and like I said, I had these conversations with my mama, I learned that how my grandma raised her, it was a lot of abuse mentally, physically.
In the home.
Yeah, in the home.
And it played a role.
And her later on, because she wanted a conversation with her mama. And my mom was she's the type of person that you can wrong her and she's still gonna do right by you. And she don't want to have that conversation because she don't want to run you away. And so when I became older, and I lost my biological dad when I was 15, a freshman in high school.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And so I lost
I know that was hard.
Right. And I didn't have a relationship. But Brittany, my older sister, she had a relationship with him. And so it was so bad that, and I was angry, and especially at God, because I was one of the ones that stayed in church. Up until my junior year. Yeah, trying to do the right thing. My best.
But it's like something just kept happening.
Yeah. And so I ended up praying to God, asking God to heal him. I'm like, God, if you heal him this time, I would try to pursue a relationship with him, because he had got so bad. He'd call my phone just to ask for Brittany. Even on my birthday, he wouldn't check on me. We wouldn't have no conversation. It was all about Brittany and then my brother. And so I ended up in 2020 was that year. I remember coming in contact with a young man named Red, and he was being so resentful towards his mama, and then my husband too. He dealt with that resentment towards his daddy. And I remember breaking down crying. I just thought these feelings was hidden. And I remember breaking down crying. I was like, if I could have the opportunity to have a conversation with my biological dad, all I want is an apology. And then I realized God started speaking to me and made me realize that you would never get that apology. You will never get that conversation. That's why I asked it, because your mom,
yeah, she's still here.
She's still here. You want that forgiveness and that healing, but sometimes I know from my experience, you won't get it. And so my question to you, and also encouraging you, like, your healing isn't based upon an apology. Yes, I do believe you deserve it and you need it. But just standing in my place with somebody, I can't get an opportunity. If I could dig them up to have a conversation, I very well would. And what took it for me to accept that was, I remember, oh, Lord have mercy. Now you finna get me started. But I remember being in the shed, and I told God that I wanted to go deeper with him, like what it is, because it was a season where I felt like I was reading, but they had got old. I felt like I'm praying to you, certain stuff done happen, but I don't see you moving. And I'm like, what else is it?
What is it?
And he made me realize, like, you have to forgive. Forgiveness was that thing. And I'm like, well, who I haven't forgave? And my biological daddy dropped in my spirit, and the Lord made me write a letter. And I put that in the book too, but the Lord made me write a letter and take a chair and sit it there, and just in my spirit, as if he was sitting there talking to him, as if I'm reading this letter to him. Right. And after I finished, girl, after I finished reading that letter, the Lord convicted me. So good, number one, but I felt bad because the Lord convicted me and said that, first of all, your healing is not based upon his apology, because you will never get it. Okay. So since he's deceased in a transition, that means that you will never be healed. Number one. And number two, everything that he did, I paid for. I sent my son to pay for on the cross, because it says, by the stripes of Jesus Christ, we are healed. And he said, and the Lord was speaking to me and was saying, I loved him just as much as I love you. He just didn't see it. And so that was my conviction to, you know what, even though I don't have an apology and know he wasn't a daddy, and it made me have issues within my own marriage, I still have to say, I forgive you anyways. And I would never get that apology. So I just wanted to speak to that part of you. Like, even if you don't get that apology, I realized that was hindering me from trusting God fully. Even now I'm still, learning to and growing. Still. But it made me realize, like, I was causing division between me and the Lord. Because, again, our earthly relationships, the book of Genesis say this, that a man and woman leave their parents, not just a mama, but a mama and a daddy, and then they cling to their husband or their wife. So that means that God established parents so that we can learn how to love through them. But if you lack one of those parents, a mother or a father, when you try to have that spiritual relationship with the Lord, and that's what I'm dealing with, trust issues, like fully trusting God. I'm so used to I like having control, because when Kamaya has control, I'm secure. And the Lord is dealing with me on that this season. Like, you got to learn how to let go. Not unforgave, but it's other stuff. Stop holding on to certain stuff. So I just wanted to speak through that. I love you. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
And I do want to talk a little bit about your molestation. Okay. Because I hear that comment. Like, that's very common. My mama went through molestation. I was molested. And growing up, I didn't think nothing was wrong with it. Because it was like young girls that was doing it, to me, cousins. And so she dealt with that. And I'm sure a lot of people around here know about it. But so many people within our family, in the find out that my mama, even the older cousins, and y'all never said anything. A lot of things could have been avoided had we had a conversation with the next generation. And so I do want to, speak to that with your molestation. How old?
I was 6 years old, and I won't say the man's name. And my mama and her friend had went out to the club, and they left him to watch me and my sister. And I remember I was on the couch, and he came in there, and he molested me. And the next day, when my mama came back, I remember when she was walking through the door, it was like morning time. I went to the bathroom, and I was bleeding, and I was burning. And I'm like, I'm only 6 years old. This shouldn't be happening. Right. So I told her, but she didn't get me no help. She didn't take me to the doctor. He was like, I didn't do that to you. I didn't do that to you. And I was like, yes, you did. I said, I'm bleeding. It's red stuff down there. And then my mama, she seen it. But I don't know if I don't know. I can't say. I don't know why. But she never did nothing. She didn't do nothing about it. And so I could say, like when you said, I don't know why, what was the cause of your mother drinking, but I don't drink no more, but I used to drink, and that's why I used to drink. Just, it helped me hide my pain and things that I was dealing with, like as a child, as an adult. Like I used to drink, and a lot of times I would drink till passed out, or till I don't remember nothing, just to try to numb a lot of things that, did happen to me. And I didn't have no father. I didn't have a father figure. My father figure was my sister Kiara, Dad Fred. Okay. He was like a father to me. I remember my mama dating him for some years. He was like a dad, but that's really the only daddy that I really, took heed to as in a dad. But after that, we was kids when they separated. So I never had no father. So I don't know if that's kind of why my relationships don't work in men either, because I'm trying to look for that father in them.
Girlfriend, yo.
I don't know.
And that was me. I can relate, because I felt that. That's how I felt like, especially with Sabre. Me and him was having marital issues. I ain't gonna tell too much, because we're doing video on that. But your girl was having marital issues, and I wanted, a divorce, because like I can't stand a liar. And that's what my daddy was, the whole 9 yards. And the Lord dealt with me and made me realize, like, Sable was becoming my God.
Mm-hmm.
Because you lacked the father, and now you expected him to fill that void that your daddy never filled. And so I found myself putting that pressure on him when he's imperfect, you know, just like me. So that's why I said I can definitely relate to that. And with the drinking thing, it's crazy that you said you don't know my mom, that's the reason why. But it is.
It is.
And so now having this conversation, I'm realizing that spiritual. This is spiritual for the ones that has a anointing upon their life. Even my mom, the stuff that she done been through, and even the stuff that you done been through, just a little bit that we don't talk about. You have been through a lot, and it's because it is women that has gone through the similar stuff you've been through. Especially for my mom generation, they're very fearful. And my mama told me she started drinking alcohol because she was molested by family members. And when she went to finally family members, it was an incident where my auntie, my great aunt, and that's one of the ones that, hey, I'm telling her business, but that's one of the ones that kept me in church, you know, throughout the next generation. But my auntie and my grandma ended up going to the club, and somebody ended up, because my mom is from Florida, and you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, she's from Titusville.
Okay.
And so they went to the little nightclub, had all the cousins stay in the project, because she was raised up in the projects, and one of the family friends, which was a man, he ended up coming in to check on them. And she ended up getting molested by him. She was molested by cousins that was around her age. And at 18, she finally said something. And my grandma told her that they wouldn't have did that to you if you didn't act like, you know, saying that she was fast. Yeah. So they didn't believe my mom. And so my mom started drinking. And that's when she became very angry, because that was the only time that she could express how she felt. And so you saying that, like, this is spiritual. And this goes back to the conversation we had prior to recording. Like, all of our life, especially the stuff that happened to us, is woven together for a reason, because it's for God, you know, to use us and to get the glory. And so I did want to also touch on now, do you know your biological father?
Not really. I just I was told a man was my father, but we did a DNA test, and it came back that he wasn't. So another man, I was told another man, it's a possibility it was another man. So he was willing to do the DNA test long as I paid for it, because I was on my journey as well. Yeah. I want to know who my dad is. You know, I want to know more about me. So I paid for the DNA test. It came back that he wasn't the father. So Mama, like, you know, it could be a possibility, you know, one more person. We was finna do it, but he had ended up going to jail. Okay. But I sat down and I had a conversation with him, because he told me, you know, he want to meet me. He want to see me. And it's crazy because the other two dudes, they were saying that maybe it's the last dude. Okay. You know, Lemon. He's from Florida. Okay. So I had to sit down and talk with him. And we talked, I'm like, I kind of look like this man. Yeah. I'm like, I can see the, you know, the resemblance. And, you know, his mom gone, his dad gone. He kind of, just a little taller than me, a little brown skin. So I'm like, I kind of look like this dude. I don't know if that's my real father, but I felt the connection when I sat down and talked to him, and I favor him. And we was going to do the test, but he ended up going to jail. So now he's in the feds. Okay. But I have had some conversations with him.
Now, one thing, too, that you had put on your form was about your car accident. Ooh. And even during, kind of had a car accident.
God saved me.
Yeah. And even during that time, girl, I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. Okay. That's number one. Like I said, I knew him, but I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. And this happened April Fool's Day, 2017. And I used to work in Albany. Wake up early in the morning to make sure I get there on time. Yeah, so I wake up around 4. I got to be there at 6. Early. Ooh. Yeah. And so I remember driving down the road, and I would listen to gospel music, but like I told you, girl, I had no relationship.
Love me some gospel. Yeah. You didn't know him then?
Didn't. Okay. And so I ended up, something distracted me. Have you ever been driving and you get caught in a mental daze? Like, you hear, but you're not there.
That happened.
Yeah, and I remember vividly staring off, drifting. I messed around and seen a fly. Mind you, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, so it's dark. Why my mind focused on a fly, I don't know. But I felt the car lift up off the ground, and when I looked, my gaze back, and it felt like I was asleep though. But when I finally looked, I'm riding through a field, and I'm talking about a glide, and then I just heard the glass breaking, And I jumped out. No, first what woke me up, because it knocked me out, but what woke me up was hearing water. And so when I looked down, my feet was wet, water was getting in the car, and then I looked to the left, and for whatever reason, my window was completely down. How, I don't know. And the song that was playing was Shekinah Glory, Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Nobody but God.
Listen, and baby girl, it went into like a dam, kind of, going between Leesburg and Ashburn. And I remember seeing a cub. I don't know if it was a cub or what, but I used my body to push through and to pull out. And it was a group of Hispanic men that stopped for me, couldn't speak a lick of English. Yes, and mind you, 4 cars had passed. But when I seen that about your car accident, I wanted to ask about that, because now that I'm walking in my walk, I realized like the hand of the Lord was on me.
He was on you heavy,
trying to get my attention.
Yes.
And so your car accident,
my car accident, that thing really woke me up. It woke me up. For one, I was drunk.
Okay.
I was so drunk. They said my alcohol level was a 0.08.
Yeah.
It was really bad. First of all, I kid you not, I don't even remember. I just remember, okay, that night we went out. We went uptown, the place uptown.
Yeah.
I want to get out, have a good time, whatever like that. And what's crazy, because I had just started bad drinking. I said that was my sign. I wasn't even supposed to be drinking.
Right.
See, when I had got raped, something happened to me back in 2020. I had got raped because I was drunk. I was drinking. I don't know everything that happened, but when I woke up, the act was going on. So I stopped drinking. That was for 2 years. I had just started bad drinking. It probably was only like 2 months. I got so drunk. My cousin, I don't even remember them taking me home. She said I was trying to jump out the window. The moving car, she said I kept trying to jump out the window like as if I was trying to kill myself. So she was like, Pokey, like, what are you doing? And they call me Pokey. What you doing? She said she kept having to scrap the seatbelt on, so she had to put the child lock on. Had to stop the car, put the child lock on, because I kept opening the door, putting down the window, trying to jump out. She was like, I just was not myself. And then so they made sure I got home. They said I took the keys, because they played my cameras back at the house, because I don't even remember. I don't remember getting no keys. I don't remember getting. That's how I knew the devil tried to take me out. The devil tried to take me.
It was a demon.
I don't remember. I just know because they watched the cameras back. So I got the keys and was like, I'm going to get my phone. After they told me that the girl who had my phone was going to give me my phone the next day. But they made sure I got home. So I was eating seafood and everything. I said, I don't remember none of that. I got the keys. I didn't have no destination. I don't know where I was going. I'm just driving.
Right.
I don't know where to go, where I'm going. Next thing you know, I blanked out. I'm in the daze. Like, I'm just blanked out.
Yeah.
When I woke up, I was in the middle of a field. I went through a building. I went through the building.
It's amazing. You hear me?
Angels had to pull me out that car. I couldn't have been in that car. All airbags came out. The truck was totaled. I didn't have not one mark on my body. I had a teeny beeny scratch right here. Looked like a baby did it. A scratch. I went through a building. When I say that was the enemy trying to take me, he was really trying to take me. People was already telling me, prophets and pastors and apostles, that I got a calling on my life. The devil finna try to.
You said in 2020.
2020.
It's
when it started. Everything started. Everything. I was going through it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to kill myself. See, I could talk about it now. At first, I used to be scared because I'm like, I don't want people to call me crazy.
Right.
Say I'm dead. And, people really deal with this type of stuff. Like, depression and suicidal thoughts and drinking because they trying to numb the pain. I went through that type of stuff, and it's not no good feeling. That's why I don't mind talking to people about their problems and about what they've been through and about their past, because I know if you don't let that stuff out, that stuff is going to hinder you. So, being raped, being molested, being divorced, and then relationships that just kept tearing me apart when I know I'm giving my all, I'm being a good person, I'm being a good wife. It's just like, why do these people keep hurting you?
Yeah.
You can never find it. So when I had that accident, I heard the Spirit say, it's not your time. It's not your time. I knew God was real, but when I knew God was real, when I had that accident, I knew I knew he was real. And I'm like, God, you saved me. I gave my life back to him. I gave it back. I'm talking about gave it back. I gave it back. Even now, like I say, I gave it back. I gave it back. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't have sex. I'm celibate. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do everything right. I'm trying to live right by God.
And
I'm
most
trying
of
to
all, what God is
so he
instructing
can
you.
use.
Yeah. And so I can relate, because this was the room that when my nephews was here doing, in foster care, 'cause we had them for a little bit. And they slept in this room or whatever. But when they left, I tried turning that into my prayer closet when I first started on my walk. Okay. And I can remember, speaking to that, knowing that God was real, and all that I was going through the same thing you was going through with relationships. Me and Sable was out of whack. I done decided to give my life to you, Lord, and now friendships. Like friends, ooh. And then you finding out about stuff that's been going on behind your back. And then I remember one young lady that I connected with on social media, I ended up seeing where she had went to Jacksonville, which I'm not gonna say her name, but she ended up going to Jacksonville with a group of girls.
Heard about that.
Yeah. And so mind you, during that same weekend, I had tried to kill myself. And I remember being in that bathroom right there, girl, and me and Sable was arguing. I was frustrated with God because I was like, nah, I want to kill myself. I want to die. And then here you go, taking somebody else. Yeah, taking somebody else. And so I felt the Spirit of the Lord. That was my first time ever seeing, most people talk about seeing visions where they days off or dreaming. But I was upset and I was crying. I remember cursing God. Like, I really can't stand you. I can't stand what you have. And I can be very transparent because God want to hear that. He want to hear you not like be mean to him. But that's your true feelings.
Open, be honest.
Yeah. And so I remember crying, and I was crying so bad that my eyes was getting puffy to where it was cloudy. And so I just closed my eyes crying. I was still screaming out to God, like, you taking everybody else. I'm watching people die, and I'm trying to kill myself, and nothing working. And I could feel me shift my entire body, because I used to get so upset, and I used to smoke, do the alcohol, all of that. And I used to get so upset where I started sweating. I'm hot, and I'm shaking. And I remember my whole body felt like it shifted into this another place. And I remember seeing it was just pure white. And I'm looking at these big feet. But I'm still crying on this side. And I remember saying, I don't understand why you won't take me. I don't understand why you won't take me. And I could, even though I didn't feel the Spirit of the Lord saying anything, I felt it in my spirit as if he was looking at me. And he wanted to comfort me. But he was saying, Kamaya, even if and I tell Say about this, even if I tell you now, you still won't understand because of where your heart is. And so I'm very I can relate to that, and I'm very thankful, because had I not continued to walk, and had I wanted, I'm trying not to cry, girl, I'm finna set your lashes off. Had I not walked into that, and just like you said, I'm not perfect either, I'm still learning. But had I not walked into that, it's something higher and bigger. That's what I've been dealing with all morning, questioning whether I'm hearing from God. Is it my voice or your? And I'm realizing that God working all this out, for a reason. And had you lost your life, so many other women that you are a staple. Yes, your story is so powerful. Even mine want to kill myself, not having my father. All of this stuff, the conversation that we have is a staple, and the enemy knows this. That the Lord is raising up Moses.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Joshua to use you to help other women that's been in foster care, being molested, alcohol, all of this, relationship issues, friendship issues, to help them. Because even though you're not perfect, I'm not perfect, and we'll never be. It's the fact that you're trying to have a relationship with me. And because you're trying and you're believing, you believe what them prophets was telling you. Yeah. You believe that was the Lord bring you out. And because you believe, I don't march you. And because I don't march you, I am going to use you. It reminds me of Jonah, the story of Jonah. He tried to run away from the Lord, and then he found himself in the belly of a fish. And so, yeah, I love you. I love you too. Yeah. God is so good.
He is all the time.
He is so good.
I would not give up, because much as I look up, to women like you and other people that I listen to, I know people look up to me. I'm not to my higher self or exactly where God want me at right now, but he's shaping me and he's molding me. And, you know, I know that a lot of things that I have been through and that I do talk about, I do help other women and men. You know, I get people that inbox me, you know, things what they have been through, ask me how do I get over this or how did I, you know, get over that. And that's why I say now, once I let go of everything, certain friends, the drugs, the alcohol, the sex, any and everything, I open up my heart and say, God, come in. I'm ready. See, when they been told me back then, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I knew I wasn't. Maybe God was ready for me, but I felt like, you know, I wasn't ready. And I felt like, so certain things he did keep allowing to happen. So I didn't have no choice but to, you know, run back to him. And so when I ran back to him this last time, I gave everything to him. You know, and I know I didn't put this in there, but I even, you know, battled with my sex life as well, where, you know, I had started dating, you know, women and everything. Really? And, you know, some people don't, some people know, some people don't, but I can talk about it. I'm not ashamed. And it's like, will I do it again? No, I wouldn't do it now. But at that time, I just thought, you know, men just keep hurting me. Right. And then, to be honest, you know, after that rape, I didn't even want to deal with men, but I knew then, I said, this is a big sin to God. I know God is gonna really punish me. So I'm like, you know, I was confused. I don't know, do I still stick with men, or do I do what I really want? I want to, you know, date a woman or whatever like that. So I stayed, you know, dating men. Then after a while, I started, you know, dating women or whatever like that. And that didn't work out. That wasn't good. And I knew God wasn't going to allow that to work out or be good, because that was something that, you know, he didn't want. Like, I'm not against, you know, I don't have, no, I'm not judging, you know, nobody or whatever like that. But, you know, I just knew that that's not what God, you know, had for me. So for a minute, I battled with that. And, you know, once you feel that you delivered from something, or God is delivering you from something, he's going to send that spirit back to test you. Everything that you done been delivered from or healed from, or you think that you've been delivered from, he's going to send it, you know, back to test you or whatever like that. That's why I say, so I had my, you know.
Speaking on testing, it's the Lord testing, you know, because he don't tempt us, but he do send tests. That's what I've been dealing with for the past, I say, 2 weeks, because I've been feeling in my spirit, okay, God, you calling me out no more to share the gospel, to preach the gospel. And I tried doing a Bible study. Okay. Well, I did the Bible study.
How did it go?
It went good. But afterwards, that's a whole nother story. And so what happened was conflict. Ever since I did the Bible study. Matter of fact, before I did the Bible study, my pastor had me come up. And mind you, I only been here about 5 months. This month at the new church. And so he randomly in the middle of service, and mind you, he had just cracked a joke with me before service started. He was like, I was gonna text you and ask you to open up. And I said in my spirit, in my mind, no, you wasn't. Baby boy, the answer was gonna be no. That's what I said in my mind. And so we ended up getting into the service, and he messed around and called me to the front. He was like, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but can you just share your testimony?
But you did put me on the spot.
Exactly. And he was like, can you share your testimony? And before I could even say no, my mouth just said yes. And that's how I knew, because again, me and the Lord, we've been, you know, and the Lord give you opportunities to share the gospel, share your testimony. And so I got up, and that was my first time, besides the podcast, sharing my testimony, battling with addiction, with marijuana, alcohol, the whole 9 yards. And I had realized, like, I felt in my spirit, like, my angels and the Lord up there, like, yo, look at her.
Look at her doing her thing.
But then I sat down and I said, oh, I'm finna go through some hell, because the enemy do not like that. I've been walking with the enemy longer than I have the Lord. He don't like that. And when I left church, I ended up feeling fire, you know, fuel, had the Bible study. After the Bible study, me and a friend got into it. I say about a couple of days, like, me and a friend got into it, because it wasn't about nothing. To me, it's personal. It's about my Lord and Savior, and the things that you're saying is causing me to be offended. Because if I feel like, it's like, I call the Lord sometimes my man too. The book of Isaiah refers to him as he gonna be my husband, and we are his bride. He is the bridegroom. And so I kind of got a feeling like you talking about my man. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come to you and be like, you know what, Lawana, you really offended me, and that's what I did. And so me and her end up getting into it. And so now a week done passed, and now me and my siblings get into it. Ooh. And so today,
going through a spiritual warfare, baby. It was on
you. Listen, and today, that's what I'm saying. You saying about the testing. Today, that's what God was dealing with me in my spirit, and He was saying that I'm raising you up to go out into the nations. but you finna get ready to go out into the world.
Oh, I just felt that.
You finna get ready to go out into the world, and if you can't handle losing your friends and family members over me, you not gonna handle well the world rejecting you.
That's so true.
Because the world rejects him.
Yep.
And so the Lord was ministering to me because I felt like, dang, Lord, like, I'm talking about, I've been going through it the past couple of weeks.
And it don't feel good.
It don't. But I realized this is a part of the testing because He's preparing me for something bigger.
And greater.
And so, speaking to that, like, anybody that's watching and going through, even with what I'm going through with friends and family, and the Word of God say that you're going to have to lose your entire life and your family. I told my husband, even Jesus denied his mom and brother. When they tried to get him out, you know, they were saying Jesus was demon possessed. And so just speaking to that testing, how to handle yourself during spiritually, how to handle yourself during the testing.
Well, a lot of times when I pray, because I pray a lot and I fast a lot, and I tell God to show me signs or reveal things to me or remove this person if you know this, and I feel like a lot of times that's where my testing come in at. So a lot of times I know that I'm finna be tested, or I know, you know what, this a test. I'm finna handle this well. Somebody might wrong me. I might be like, you know what, God bless you, or I'm finna pray for you. I knew that was a test. One of my friends might come, you know, and offend me or something like that. Instead of me trying to fuss back with them, I'm going to say something, you know, hit them with a Bible verse or something like that. Because I have lost some friends along this journey too, or not. Like, we're not beefing or nothing happened. They just, you know, detachment, and we're not beefing or nothing like that, which I understand. The walk that I'm on, we on two different walks, and a lot of times I notice I be reaching out to certain ones, and, you know, just always sending my Bible scriptures or just checking on them. Some of them don't even respond back, so I told myself, you know what, I'm going to stop doing that. At first, I used to just continue to do it and just always talk about God and stuff like that, so I said, you know what, I'm going to stop doing it. I know now I'm going to lose friends. You're going to lose family. Especially the closer you get to him. Some people can't handle that. And it ain't that they, you know, are jealous or envious or anything. They just not ready to walk that walk. So they probably might just stay away. I don't know. I'm just assuming maybe that's what it is. So with being tested, like I said, you know, we human or whatever like that. But a lot of times I just say something, you know, godly or nice and stay kind. Like, I make sure I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to say something that's going to offend you or hurt your feelings, you know, whatever like that, because I know that's going to make God mad. And I know He using me. And if I fail this test, I got to do it again.
Right.
I got to do it again. I got to keep going through this test until I get it right. So I'm going to try to get it right, you know, on the first try, the second try. So basically what I do, like I said, I pray a lot. I meditate, I fast, and when I see it coming, sometimes, you know, I can see that thing coming.
Yeah.
I can't always recognize it, but it's like the more I'm getting closer to Him, the more I can scope Him out. You know, this person finna come and do this person finna be like this, you know. I know what this person finna say before they say it, you know, and it be like that, you know, because God give His people, He give us gifts. Yeah. And a lot of us, we are anointed, we do have gifts. So a lot of times, I can see the test, I can see it, I can feel it, and then sometimes I can't, but I still remain my humble, sweet, you know, kind self. I don't...
So, I'm talking to you.
I'm talking to you too.
Another thing I do want to talk about, though, is like you being pretty much, I would call her orphan. Because I feel like anybody who lack a parent, whether there's one parent, both parents, you lack that parent, you deal with what I call an orphan spirit. And I deal with heavy rejection, like that rejection spirit, and want to be included in everything.
And love and included,
yes. So how do you deal with, if you do deal with it, like that orphan spirit and that feeling of rejection? Because that's what I'm dealing with this season. It is bothering me to have to, I ain't gonna lie, I love the Lord, but it's bothering me to have to, every time I turn around, it feel like, okay, I got to distance myself from this. Feel like I've always been an elephant in the room full of hyenas. Like, I'm completely different, but yet and still I'm trying to make myself fit. And that's what I've been struggling with and needing to let go of, is I want a relationship with family, because I'm all about family. And I'm realizing, like, it's like a tug of war between me and God. God saying, I don't want you friends with this individual. I don't want you associated with this family. But we live in a society where, and we raised up, well, that's still your sister, that's still your mama, that's still your brother. And so dealing with that, how to let go of that mindset, like, they're still your brother, let them talk to you any kind of way, or your sister, let them do you any kind of way, and you still be there. I'm struggling with constantly coming and showing up when I know for a fact we not on the same journey, but yeah, I still love you and I want a relationship. And I feel like now that I'm older, it's kind of like I just don't want a relationship. Yeah, I want a relationship. That double-mindedness, but not want to feel. And I feel like it's kind of like, am I really in relationship with God if I choose to cut certain people off and distance myself?
Okay, so can I give you some advice first and then answer your question? Please. Okay, with that, this is just my opinion. I feel like you should do, because you are the one God chose. You are on your journey. You are on your calling. I feel like you should get all them together and y'all have a sit down talk.
A conversation.
No fussing, no fighting, no arguing. Y'all actually sit down and listen to one another, because the enemy is taking people out one by one by one by one. And the first thing he want to do, he want to split families up.
Yeah.
He want to split families up, which I know certain family members we can't take with us. But when I feel like even if y'all don't be close after that conversation, y'all should at least sit down, get off y'all hearts what y'all want to tell each other and talk about. And you tell me, look, well, you offend me when you do this, or I always felt like this, or you was the one this. Get it out, because half of the time they might not even know how you feel, as much as what you're dealing with inside. And you can, just tell them, y'all, look, I'm on my journey or whatever like that. I forgive you for offending me. I forgive you for what you did, But I would love for us to just check on each other, here and there. Even if we don't talk, can we all just get it off our heart and get it off our chest? So I would like for that to happen,
have a conversation
for you, and I'm gonna pray for you with that too, because it's not no good feeling. Juggling it. I want to talk to them, but then I don't. I understand.
And and my thing was coming like I kind of feel like this the child in me, the little girl in Kamaya, that will allow them to say certain stuff, because I'm one of them in my family. I'm the outspoken one, and that is why the relationships done been torn apart, because I say how I feel.
Speak your piece. And it's okay with you speaking.
Exactly. The old me would, I'm gonna suppress my feelings. I'm not gonna say nothing. I don't have the right to say nothing.
Push it to the side.
I want to fight. I want to wrestle and tussle. But
we ain't gonna do that.
I got over that. The Lord done brought me from there. He's like, your feelings are valid, but it's a way to speak. Yes. And that's what I was struggling with, and that's why the struggle was so heavy in my marriage. And I've been learning the past 2 years on how to communicate my feelings, because I found myself doing the same thing with Sable. And so now that I'm not there anymore, and they still on their own, journey, it's like, okay, now y'all triggering me, and what I want to do is suppress it, fight y'all, and then we come back and like everything cool. But Kamaya is having a conversation, telling y'all, okay, I'm not on that. I'm not on the same time y'all, and now you're offended, and now it's, don't talk to me. So okay, well that's fine. We're gonna be cut off. And so that's why my double-mindedness come like, is this a little girl that's still trying to have the relationship with them, or is this pride? And I'm not feeling like it's pride, because I want to have a relationship, but y'all want to distance yourself from me. So it's like, okay, just be cut off.
I am forward, and I am the type, I can express my emotions. I can express my feelings. If they wrong me or make me feel some type of way, I would say something. A lot of times, me speaking, it might cause us to have an altercation or something to go left. And it's like, I don't want to feel like I gotta, be small. When it comes, we shouldn't have to do that. I don't want to have to do that. And if you can come to me and talk to me about anything, I should be able to come to you and talk to you too. And see, a lot of times with family, I talk to a lot of my family. There's only certain ones I probably will not talk to. And that's because they have offended me and don't want to take, accountability of what they have done. And they no longer probably want to, deal with me. And I'm okay with that. But like, that's, cousins and stuff like that. But now, when they ready to sit down and have a conversation, I would do that. I'm woman enough now. I'm mature enough now. I'm open to sit down and have a conversation. So if it's an event that I know they probably would be at, I wouldn't go, because I don't know your intentions. I don't know if you healed from the incident we done had, or what you're going to do. We didn't have no conversation. So I don't want to be in the same room with you until we actually sit down and talk like adults, get it off our hearts. Now, as far as sibling-wise, I get along with all my siblings now. At first, we don't have our little issues or whatever like that. And I came to them. I feel like we should do this. We need to talk. We need to, or whatever like that. But I'm the one, I always feel like I'm the sister that they all come to for help, for advice. I'm that sister, and I always had to be strong. And out of all my mama kids, I feel like I was the black sheep. My mama, she treated me the worst. But I'm the one that I feel like I was just always there. I was always there. Even when we lived in Miami, like helping her with bills, bringing her food, just being there. Like I was always there. But I'm the one you treated bad the most. But I'm the one everyone called for help, for advice, for money, for whatever. You know, I'm the one that everybody
I'm so sorry
called.
to interrupt you, but I just had this conversation with Sable because that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that baby girl. So that is me. And one example I gave him was at nighttime.
Okay.
You mess around and turn on your porch light, and you ever step outside during nighttime, you gonna realize like it's a bunch of bugs around that light.
That's true.
Because they gravitate towards that light. And so you have a light in you, but it's that light that's in you, that's in us, and that light is the Spirit of the Lord. And so you have them constantly gravitating. That's why I say the door is always open. But as far as getting into this personal space, it's like it's not too many people. Even with Jesus, it was 3 set people that he allowed to go to the mountain with him. And so that's what I'm starting to realize too. That like, yes, it's a gift to be that light, but I'm learning how to keep that distance because everybody don't need to drain. You draining my light more than anything. You taking from me. You feel what I'm saying? True. Yeah. How would you say the Lord is using you? And especially everything that you done been through, how was you able to see that, okay, the reason why I'm going through and I've been through what I've been through is because you want to use me in some way. And so how would you say the Lord using you?
I would say, one, to heal other people. For one, I can feel that I'm a healer just by my words, the way I talk to people. Because a lot of times when I speak to them, they be like, I was having a bad day. But I watched your videos and it motivated me. Yeah. Or one person even inboxed me, I was finna kill myself. I want to kill myself. But watching you just gave me, a second thought. Or they'll say, nobody never been so nice to me like that. Like, why you so nice? And I used to be like, it's God. Yeah. I can't help the way I am. Like, I don't let nobody run over me no more. But I can't be mean. I'm not a mean person. I'm going to be sweet. I'm going to be kind. And I just feel like God really using me for other people that don't know how to open up. And some people have inboxed me, well, I was raped or I was this. I never told nobody. I didn't think nobody was going to believe me. Or your testimony helped me to forgive or, help me. So I could see him using me. And not just by them telling me that. I could just feel him sometimes. Yeah. Like, I could just feel it. And it's a good feeling. Like, even when I, be catching the Holy Ghost and stuff, it feels so good. At first, I didn't really know what it was. Right. I didn't have to ask my pastor, like, what is this? Right. I don't know what it is. What is this? When I first got the Holy Ghost, I'm like, what is this? Right. It kind of scared me. But it's like, I felt so good. And it's like a feeling like, it's like something just came over me. It's a feeling that you can't endure. That's why you fall down to your knees. That's why you fall, because that power is so strong. You can't stand it. But after a while, I'm like, God, I see what you're doing. And the more I just kept being in my Bible, praying to him, there we go. Yeah, he was using me, and I the Spirit, I want to use you. He was just using me just to connect with people, to forgive. That's why I say anybody who wronged me, come out, I have forgiven them. Yeah. I have a forgiving heart. I forgave. I might still hurt, and it might still be a hole in my heart that's still open, but I have forgave them. I don't wish them no death. I don't wish them nothing. Like, even when it happened to me with them dudes, people wanted to kill them. Yeah. I said no. They was waiting to give me the okay. I said no. And as much as that hurted me, I said no, I couldn't do it. I was on my journey. I had done, I told you 2020.
What's that year?
I said no, don't touch them. God gonna touch them, because even I still haven't got justice. And I'm not racist or nothing like that. I just felt, I said, now had that been a, certain different color, race, they would have, I felt like, because, color, I felt like nothing was really properly done. And basically it was their word against mine. And I even had on a recording, and it wasn't him coming out saying that, oh, we raped her or we did this, but he did apologize 3 times on that recording. Right. And he said, I want to tell him sorry for what I did. And all of us was in that room. Like I said, I don't know exactly everything what happened, but I know when I woke up, one dude was on top of me having sex with me, and the other dude was standing on the side of me, and he was playing with it, himself. So I forgave them, and I'm gonna let God
deal with it.
Deal with it.
But you still have to deal with you. And so in the midst of knowing that, because God is still a just God. Yeah, let me tell you, God is still a just God. He see all, he know all. So it don't matter if they, no, you fine. It don't matter if it don't, and that's one thing God was dealing with me with. I was thinking that God is finna go after my enemies. I'm talking about his wrath, his fire, just take them up through the. But God want them too. That's the thing. So a lot of times God ain't gonna deal with our enemies and people that don't hurt us in the way that we think. And so we gotta trust him that he is a just God, but it's still handling you. And so my question to you is, even you know, if they ain't been dealt with, we still gotta deal with. How did that make you feel? Especially being a woman, then you being taken advantage of. I don't understand, but if it's one thing if it's one person, but you got multiple people. I can only imagine as a woman and as a black woman not feeling, and this goes back to even being that little girl that your mama or your daddy was not there to defend and protect. And so here you is, you intoxicated, you getting taken advantage of, and how they speak to that part of you.
That's when I wanted to kill myself.
Okay.
That's when I went into a deep depression for one, because I'm like, you know, how can this man try me like this? Mm-hmm. Like, why would you even feel like that was okay to do? Mm-hmm. And I just knew it was God with me still, even though that happened, because I woke up for 5 seconds just to see what was going on, mm-hmm. and I blanked back out. So it ain't like I had to fight through them. I had to, oh no, don't do this. You know, some people, they actually have to, you know, fight through it. Yeah. I didn't have to do that. What happened was I woke up to it happening to me. Mm-hmm. And I could talk about it, you know. And I had just did my checkup when I was home in Miami, because I was here visiting. I lived in Miami. I didn't have no STDs. When they did my rape kit, the detectives, that's why I'm like, at first he was on his job, but then after a while, it's like, he kept telling me, oh, it take up to a year for the kit to come back. And I'm like, well, I never heard of that. Can I talk to somebody over you? He wouldn't allow me to talk to nobody, you know, over him. He's like, we taking care of it. I'm taking care of it. I'm doing it. So I'm like, well, can I take a lie detector test, you know, whatever like that? Because he's saying at this point, it's their word against mine. Mm-hmm. I let him hear the video and everything. But come to find out, one of the boys who did it, parents worked for, you know, accounting and stuff like that. So now it started making sense, because I'm wondering, like, why this man ain't picking up no more? Like, he said my case still open or whatever like that. So when I got back home to Miami, you know, I noticed my private, you know, was itching a little bit. And right after that, so I went, you know, to the clinic. I got a STD testing, and they said I had an STD. So I knew then, you know, and then not even that, you ain't even have no condom. Like, y'all was just, you know,
just doing what y'all
doing. Yeah. So, you know, I get my checkups or whatever like that, and I had an STD. Mm-hmm. Good thing, you know, it was curable. I got cured or whatever like that. But some people feel like I lied, you know, and I say, that used to bother me.
And I was just going to say,
it used to bother me, you know, hearing that, oh, she lied or whatever like that. And all I can say, you know, y'all were not there. Mm-hmm. Y'all don't know what took place. Y'all were not in that room. I know what I woke up to. I'm not finna lie about nobody sexually assaulting me. Mm-hmm. I know what I woke up to. And not even that. If I lied, he wouldn't even apologize. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't apologize. He know what they had done. Mm-hmm. That's why he want to say, I want to tell her I'm sorry. See, one of the dudes' baby mother believed me and gave my sister his number. Mm-hmm. That's how she ended up calling him, talking to him to get information, you know, from him. So to this day, I'm not gonna lie, it bothers me, and I'm still healing from that. Although I forgave them, but I'm healing from a lot of things, and it's crazy because I still have this feeling to love, to be kind, to be, you know, sweet to people. And you would think I'm just supposed to be so bitter.
And where did that come from? What you say?
Jesus.
Yeah. The love of the Lord.
I know it's Jesus. And I even read about stories in the Bible. I said some of these people were molested. Some of them were raped. Some of them were set up. Some of them was killed. So I said, what make them different? Us different from them. We are going through the same things that they went through. And without a test, there is no testimony. Ooh. Without the things that we are going through and dealing with, there is no calling.
Mm-hmm.
So God is using us and everything that we have, went through to help others and also to help ourselves,
right.
not to go through be put in those same situations. So I forgave them. I stopped reaching out to the detectives. I prayed that God, changed their hearts. And I used to pray that it might be weird. I used to pray that they'll just go on live and apologize.
Yeah.
Just so some people would know that I'm not lying. But I'm like, you know what? Who cares? I don't care if whatever they think no more about how they feel. I know what happened to me. Right. I know that it's something that I have to deal with for the rest of my life, because I know that I did not agree to it. And I'm not blaming the alcohol, but had I not been drunk, I don't think I would have even went with him. But because I was just, I was drunk and I was back home in town to somebody I used to, date or whatever like that, I went. But I did not know that he was taking me to a room with other men. And even when I was in my right mind, I remember turning around and saying, where is, the dude or whatever like that. And I remember the cousin getting in front of the door saying, oh, he coming back, because I didn't have no phone to call nobody. I left my phone. That's how drunk I was. I don't go nowhere without my phone. I left my phone. I remember him getting in front of the door, and it was like two other dudes. I don't remember. But I know it was two other dudes. And he was like, no, he coming back. He coming back. Just sit right here. I don't remember drinking nothing, but he did mention in the video he gave me a drink. I don't know if he put something in it. I feel like they did for me to be passed out, and sometimes I don't pop pills, so I don't know what it would do to my body or whatever like that. So I just remember my right hand of God waking up. One dude was on top of me, the other dude was on the side of me. I woke up and I said, what y'all doing to me? I blanked back out. When I woke up the next morning, they were sitting on the couch looking at me. So I was like, I'm like this, where I'm at? On my clothes. And they handed me my clothes. I put on my clothes. And in the car, I'm asking questions, because now I'm like, what just happened? What's going on? Why was I naked? Nobody's saying nothing. Yeah. Nobody's saying nothing. Later on that day, I'm trying to call him. I'm reaching out to him like, what happened in that room? Did something happen? Like, I remember waking up to something. Something happened. Like, what happened? He was not answering. He was not picking up. That whole day, my body just felt weird. I felt bad. I started throwing up. My thoughts started coming. I said, Shawana, I was raped. I told my sister, I said, I was raped. I said, can you come and take me to the department? I want to report a rape. I know I was raped. Yeah. And that's when we went. They opened up a case. This is how I knew what's crazy, because they told me 3 different people wanted to pick up the case. It went from 3 different people wanting to pick up the case. Y'all taking the case, keeping in contact with me and everything, to like some months later.
It was nothing.
It was nothing. And when I called and said, well, is the case still open? Yeah, the case still going, but we have to wait for the results to come back. So I'm calling like every month. Okay, everything makes sense. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give it to God.
And even in the midst of that, I can only imagine having shame too. Feeling shame, not being believed, even knowing your history. Like, so much shame, so much condemnation. And so, how did you deal with that? Shame and condemnation. How did the Lord help you, deal with that? Because in the Word of God say that in Christ there is no condemnation. But I know with shame comes that.
I knew deep in my heart, I know the truth and I know what happened. And I said, if they haven't already asked God for forgiveness, they're going to ask God for forgiveness. And like I said, the more I started praying and in my Bible and stuff like that, it just led me more to just walk into my truth. Because I'm like, at first I did feel shame, because I'm like, dang, some of these people, they don't even believe me. Like, who wouldn't, believe that? I know they heard the tape. He didn't come out and just say, he molested me, but I mean, he raped me, but he said he wanted to tell me he's sorry. He kind of, said stuff. My sister was asking questions and all. You could just tell that, it happened. So I'm like, wow, so this is what it feel like, then I wanted to kill myself. Like I told you, that's when I went through a deep depression, and it didn't feel good. Like, for sometimes I didn't eat, I couldn't sleep. My friends, I had to go live with her because I didn't want to be alone. Right. So I moved in with my friend. She said I used to be screaming in my sleep, shaking in my sleep. Like, it was bad. And then for a lot of times, I just kept having those visions in my mind. It just kept playing. I just be like, Lord, please take it away. Like, please take it away. Like, so I went through some stuff, and that now it's like, this is my truth. This is what happened. You're going to believe me or you're not. I'm not finna, go back and forth with the ones that don't believe me. But my thing is just, this could have been anybody. It can happen to anybody. And that's why, that happening after that rant, I said, I'm done drinking. I'm done drinking.
And that's what did it.
That's what did it.
And so, okay, we finna get ready to close out. I'm so thankful for you. I really am. I really am. And something that I do want to ask before we leave is anybody that has dealt with the foster care, dealt with having mother issues, daddy issues, anybody dealing with these issues and they don't know Jesus Christ, they don't know their Lord and Savior, what would you say to them?
I would tell them to get to know Him. Get saved, get to know Him, give God your life, because when you do that, you will see things happening not the way you want it to happen, but the way God wanted it to happen. It'll be better. Give Him your problems, give Him your worries, give Him everything. Let Him shape and mold you. My pastor just was talking about this in church the other day. It don't feel good being beat, being molested, being raped. The devils and them demons is coming at you. It don't feel good when God is shaping you and molding you. But once He is done,
baby, it's a beautiful masterpiece.
It's a beautiful masterpiece. So I would tell anybody, get to know the Lord. Let Him use you. Let Him heal you. Let Him use you for your higher calling, for your purpose in life. Because if you don't know Him, you don't know nothing.
Right.
You don't know nothing. And even you're going to fall. We all fall, even as believers. But when we fall, He'll be there to pick you back up.
Right.
He'll forgive you and pick you back up. And if you walking with Him, He's going to guide you along the way. He's going to guide you. So I would tell anybody who's dealing with pain, with abuse, with neglect, with don't know how to forgive, take it to your Lord in prayer.
Yeah.
Take it to the Lord in prayer. Get to know Him and have a relationship with Him. Talk to Him on a daily. Talk to Him like He's your friend.
Yeah.
That's what I do. What's up, guy? Let me tell you what happened today.
I love it, though. It's authentic.
So, yes. And so sometimes I be like, God, I just be talking. And I be in my house, because I stay by myself. I just be in my house, walking through my house, just talking to God. So I'm like, having a conversation. And I also have my prayer room where I go in, and I speak to Him and I pray with Him. And, I just feel like having that relationship with Him, it feels good. And along the way, like you said, you're going to lose some family members. You're going to lose some friends. But this is what comes with it. Yeah. It comes with it. And if it's meant for them to be there and understand your purpose and your calling, they'll be there. Yeah. And the ones that don't, we're not beefing. It's no beef. Yeah. I'm just going to separate myself from you, or whatever like that.
Yeah, and it remind me of, I had told Sable, like, when you get married, when you... it's a lot of friends. Hey, you can't hang with because I got a man. It's a lot of men. I can't pursue you. And it's the same with my relationship. I'm in a relationship, even if it means cutting off my husband. You're cut off because at the end of the day, if it's gonna cost me my relationship with God, I can't walk with you.
I can't walk with you.
And my last thing for you, baby girl, is with the Being of Her, the podcast. And now we're gonna do. My girl gonna also be on that, but we're gonna be on Zoom. And then we're gonna come back. We gotta come back and do this again.
Okay, girl.
But and next time I'm praying and claim we're gonna have 2 mics.
You will.
But one question is, what does it mean to be her? I do the Being of Her podcast, and God birthed that out, which we got so caught up in the conversation I couldn't really do a little pen.
It's okay.
But one thing you had mentioned was you had got to a point on your journey where you wanted to know who you was and where you had come from. And that's how it was for me. I was going through what I had called spiritual identity crisis. Like the whole 9 yard. I didn't know who my daddy was, really, because we didn't have a relationship. His people, even though they're around here, we don't have a relationship. I don't know much about my mama people. And then I'm learning stuff. When I started reading the Bible, I started learning stuff about myself. They didn't teach in church. Y'all wouldn't tell,
Yes.
And so I had called it going through identity crisis, and the Holy Spirit gave me, after I read the book of Colossians and then Ephesians, He gave me the Being of Her podcast, and it means holy, evolving, and in relationship through Jesus Christ. So discovering who you are in Jesus Christ. And so my question is, what does it mean to be her, to be you? Your her in Jesus. What does that mean? What does it look like you?
To me, first I want to say a strong black woman. Because Lord knows I am strong. Yeah. Could have been sprung out on drugs. Could have took my life. Strong. Very, very strong. Phenomenal. Because I have so many gifts, so many talents, so many, so much I want to do with working with kids, doing hair, feeding the homeless, giving back to community. So, just being phenomenal and just being your authentic self, just being you. speaking your truth, being you, and inspiring people. So I would say, to be me, that's what that is. Just my loving, sweet, kind, phenomenal self.
Right. That's what it means to be heard. And so I just want to let you know that, baby girl, to be you, how I'm looking, the Lord said that we made in each other's image because we made in His image. But you are so beautiful. That's number one. You beautiful inside and out. Let me tell you, you are anointed. The Lord is on you. His hand is on you. And He going to use you to go out into the nation for women. And most of all, I wanted to definitely tell you that you are enough. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care who leave, what relationships, all of that. I'm serious. You are enough, says the Lord. Because if you, and matter of fact, how you know you're enough is because He sent His Son to die on the cross for you. Even when you was messed up, you was doing the alcohol, you was doing even in the midst of your mama not want to deal with you, not knowing who your daddy is, He still saw you. And because He saw you, all things is going to lead back to Him because it's you who He wants. Amen. For real. And so, to me, that's what it means to be you. That your entire story is being led by Jesus. That's number one. And number two, He's calling you out. And that's why you decided to stop doing even your own way of thinking. You can think how you want to think. One can do what she want to do. Right. But you are still choosing Him. Even if it ain't perfect, and it ain't got to be. God never asks us to be perfect. That's another thing. The Lord never asked for perfection. It's only one person that's perfect. That's Jesus Christ. But He did ask you to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and strength. And so He see you. He love you. And most of all, I love you because
I love you too.
I just saw myself in you. I'm so thankful for you.
Thank you for having me.
Ooh, and you the first. And this ain't going to be the last. Y'all...
A lot of emotions, a lot of tears, a lot of truth, that was good. That was great. I love this.
Like,
you are gonna bring a lot of souls. You just don't know. Get ready.
And you too, baby girl.
Thank you.
I'm serious. Every testimony share, somebody, I'm positive. Just wait in the name of Jesus. And you need and I told this another thing before we leave. Ministry. We try to associate ministry with getting a microphone, having a church. But no, your business doing hair, ministry. Sitting down with me, this is ministry. That's how I started. The Lord started ministry for me, was sitting out having a conversation with my mom. And so what you just did, you was helping me, giving me advice, encouraging me. This made me want to go deeper in my walk. And so that's your ministry. Everybody that you come in contact with, you have an opportunity to minister to and share the gospel. And so that's another thing. Don't think you need a church. You even need a camera. Baby, all you need is this. And the enemy wants your mind, your mouth, and then He know your heart gonna follow. And so I love you.
Yes, I love you too.
and make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Yes, share this with somebody to encourage them. But most of all, I just pray that something was said and done to encourage you and to initiate you to seek the Lord. The Bible says, seek the Lord. Seek the kingdom of God. Matter of fact, seek the kingdom of God, and then all these things will be added unto you. And I'm watching things being added unto me. I've been seeking the Lord, and though I have lost friends, the Lord done blessed me with you.
Amen.
The Lord has blessed me with friends.
Amen.
Yeah. So I thank the Lord. We, baby girl, we done.
We done.